Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts. I've talked about this from time to time, but I haven't made a proper video until now to really go in depth of why I think this is actually going to happen. I have a sneaking suspicion that with the announcement of Batwoman and Gotham City in the next Arrowverse crossover event, which is in 2018 in a couple of months from now as I'm recording this video, I have a suspicion this is building up to a Batwoman TV show announcement, that she's actually going to get her own TV show. I'm going to go into some of the reasons why I think, based off the things we know so far that are confirmed, some speculation on my part, and a theory that I think could work if they go in this direction. It all depends on what happens in the Arrowverse crossover event in a couple of months. But let's just have some fun, let's dive into it, and let's see. Could this actually happen? I hope so. Let's see. Reason number one, Batwoman is a very popular character. Now, comparing to like the Trinity, the Green Lantern, Flash, okay, fine. But when you think about the entirety of the DC character roster, Batwoman is pretty high up there. And the fact that they finally have the ability to use a Bat family character in the Arrowverse, which a lot of us have been begging for years, this is a massive step forward. So I don't think they should waste her. I understand, yeah, she's in the crossover. She's the main focus. I get it, but are we going to see her before the crossover? Are we going to see her after if there's no TV show? You have the ability to use her. You should use her, obviously. Reason number two, Gotham City. They're actually able to go there. Instead of just referencing it, like on Supergirl and Arrow, I don't think Legends and Flash reference Gotham, but regardless, they're actually able to go there, and they are, in the crossover event. So you're able to use Batwoman, reason number one. Reason number two, you're going to Gotham City. That's two big reasons why I think this is actually a probability. I think it's going to happen. I mean, if Gotham City was off limits, then okay, maybe not so much. But the fact that, like, Batwoman, Gotham City, boom, boom. Okay, well then I think this is leading towards something more than just a crossover event. Reason number three, they kind of did the same thing last year with Crisis on Earth X, the last year's crossover event. The Ray officially got introduced for the first time during the crossover event, Crisis on Earth X, before his CWC the animated show aired later in the year. I think it aired in December of 2017. So he first appeared in the crossover event and then his animated show. Now, with that, you're thinking, okay, well, she could appear in the crossover event and then there's an animated CWC show. Not to be a dick to the Ray, you might like him more than Batwoman, okay? That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, when you look at the popularity and the fact that they announced this thing so early, which we'll talk about that in a bit, Batwoman is a way more popular character. And there's a lot more you can do with that. And the fact that I just think the budget for a live-action Ray show, or the whatever, Freedom Fighters, whatever, it'd be way more than I think a Batwoman show would be. So I'm thinking Batwoman live-action is a more of a probability. Reason number four. Now, this could be seen as a weak reason, but I'm going to use it just because I think when they announced this year's crossover event with Batwoman and Gotham City, and where they announced it, I think is way different, and to me it means something more than just them announcing it through social media, and I'll explain that in a second. Let's go through the timeline. So, starting off here, we have the Dominators, aka Invasion crossover event announcement, and that was back on September 29, 2016, and then 2 months later in November, the crossover event aired and all that fun stuff. So that was 2 years ago. So only 2 months difference. Right before they started shooting the crossover, they announced it, okay? So mere days before they started shooting the crossover, they announced the 2016 Invasion crossover. Hopping over to 2017, Crisis on Earth X. They announced it on September 22nd, 2017, 2 months before the November release of the crossover. So right before they started shooting it, they announced it. And, by the way, the announcement of both of these were through social media only. They just put out tweets, Facebook posts, and just put out a report saying crossover event. So they just spread it through social media. That's how they announced it the past 2 years in 2017 and 2016. That's how they did it. Now, 2018, Batwoman and Gotham City was announced on May 17th, 2018. Now, they're saying they're going to be airing in December, probably early December, but who knows, it might still end up being late November. But regardless, if it's in November, that's 6 months different. In December, 7 months. That's a huge difference. And on top of that, yes, this was really pushed through social media, but if you remember, the announcement was actually announced at the upfronts, where all of the major networks go and they sit there in front of a room full of people and they announce what's going to be happening on their networks, whether it's ABC, Fox, NBC, all that kind of stuff. And CW, during their panel, they had Stephen Amell, Arrow, Green Arrow himself, Oliver Queen, come out and announce Batwoman in Gotham City. And they had this whole presentation. On top of everything else happening on the CW, they set aside especially to announce it to the crowd, and apparently the crowd freaked out. The fact that they announced this at an event, and they did this whole presentation with Stephen Amell coming out, that's a big difference. And the fact that it was announced back in May, something tells me something's going on here. Something is going on here for sure. Now, this last thing I'm going to say is not necessarily a reason, it's really a theory of mine, and some of you may not like this. Some of you go, I don't want this at all, but there's a way to get around certain character rights, because as we know, in case you don't know, Warner Brothers is very protective of Batman and the Bat family characters, okay? So if they were to announce a Batwoman show in Gotham, they would have a very hard issue to deal with. Batman, Robin, Red Hood, Batgirl, all these characters that are being used in other places, how would they be able to get around it? Here's my theory, and I hope you guys will think this is interesting, but some of you I know won't like this, but okay. So if they were to do this, they could spin it and say, yes, Bruce Wayne does exist, because Oliver Queen announced. Now, we're all assuming Batwoman might be on Earth 1. We're not really sure, but let's say Batwoman is on Earth 1, hypothetically, okay? Bruce Wayne exists. However, the Batman of Gotham on Earth 1, if it's on Earth 1, the Gotham City we're going to, and Batwoman is actually the Batman of Gotham on Earth 1. Bruce Wayne exists, but Batwoman is actually the Batman. Now, you're thinking, this makes no sense. I understand. But if they were to announce a Batwoman show, which I think it's going to happen, but who knows? That's how you get around it. Batman does not exist on Earth 1. He exists on Earth 38 with Supergirl. Okay, fine. Fine. But they could easily get around this where we can be in Gotham City, we can have a Batwoman show, and Batman does not exist. Bruce Wayne does, but Batman doesn't. I know it changes the mythos. It really just sounds weird, but that's a way how they could get around the character rights issue if they were to move forward with a Batwoman show. Now, if they did it animated, maybe they can. I don't know if they can get away with stuff, because if they do it animated, it's connected to the Arrowverse in total. So regardless, I think that's how they would be able to pull this off effectively without running into character rights issues or just ignoring certain characters. There you have it, guys. That's my reasons and my theory of how and why I think this is going to happen. I'm really excited, regardless of what happens with Batwoman in the Arrowverse. The fact that we're getting her and Gotham City in the crossover event is pretty awesome. I honestly never expected a Bat family character to show up in the Arrowverse, and the fact that it's Batwoman is pretty awesome. If they would have announced Batgirl, I'd be dead. This video would not even be made. I'd just be dead. But the fact that we're getting Batwoman is a big step forward, I think, for the Arrowverse, and I hope this means we're leaning towards a Batwoman show. I hope this is the case. I'm curious to know what you guys think. What's going to happen? Do you think it's just going to be a crossover event and that's it? Or do you think there's more behind the scenes of what we're being told so far? Honestly, we'll hear more info as we continue to move forward into them shooting all these shows and leading up to the actual shooting of the crossover event. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, guys. Do you want to see a show, a Batwoman live-action show? Do you not want to see one? Whatever thoughts you have, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.